Hello everyone, this is Grandmaster Arturs Neiksans, and I'm back with which is already ninth bootcamp, I believe. So once a week, usually, sometimes with some exceptions, I try to do a bootcamp where I try to cover various topics. Should it be an opening repertoire for white or black, or certain positional aspects or combinations. Every single week I try to change the topic. And last week I was doing Cecilia and Tamanov, and there were quite a few people who are following it. So I decided for today I would like to do the Dutch defense. And me and Dutch defense, we go for a long way back, because essentially the Dutch defense, which is, when we are looking at the board, probably you already know this, which is d4, 5. We have quite a long history, me and Dutch defense, because essentially this was the very first opening I learned in my childhood. And I've been using this as, if not the main continuation for black, then certainly as a surprise weapon for quite many games, and it brings really interesting and dynamic positions which are perhaps not that common when white plays d for first move. Yeah, so I decided to do a bootcamp about it and share perhaps with my impressions, some of my games from the line, and try to explain the way I'm thinking how black can use the Dutch defense for really good success. And actually, one of the reasons why I chose this was there was a discussion, I think it was yesterday, I saw it at Facebook. The Australian GM, Max Illingworth, he posted a question: what do you think about Dutch defense? And there were so many interesting answers, and pretty much most of them were like negative, something like, come on, what is this? What is Dutch defense? And quite a few were actually positive, including myself. And yeah, so that again inspired me to do this topic. Right. You might remember there was quite a famous quote by the former world champion Tigran Petrosyan, who was quoted. I hope I won't misinterpret the words, but it was something like this: if your opponent is going to play the Dutch defense, don't stop him. Yeah, obviously that is a joke, but the real truth behind these words is that essentially, if white is trying to play a gambit, then black is perfectly fine. And I believe that Dutch defense is very much provocative, because normally what do? You are just weakening your own king, and you're not developing a single piece, and still white cannot punish black immediately. So what I suggest to do, I suggest to first have a look at some of the gambit lines and see if this is really true. If white can try to crush black, or black is still holding. So after d4 f5, what I like about the Dutch defense is that it is possible to play it not only against d4, right? It is still playable after c4. It's essentially the same. It's such a universal weapon pretty much against anything if white doesn't play e4, right? It has some sort of resemblance in terms of how often you can use it. It is exactly the same when black is playing the King's Indian against everything d4, c4, knight f3. It just doesn't matter, right? Black is just playing knight f6, g6, bishop g7, castle, d6, pretty much not looking what his opponent is doing. Okay, again, with Dutch defense, it's not exactly like that, but essentially you can do the same against c4, d4, or knight f3. Okay, so let's start with d4, f5, and as promised, let's try to do some gambits. So perhaps one of the most oldest gambit in the Dutch defense is e4. So this is the so-called Staunton gambit, which was quite popular a long time ago, And it was back then when people believed that actually you can destroy black's defenses by going forward very aggressively, but here black actually gets a very fine game. So after e4, f takes, knight c3, knight f6, and bishop g5. Yeah, so this is the so-called old line, the main line of the Staunton gambit. But what I really like about this position is that black will not hold to his pawn at all costs. So that is extremely important. I think sometimes people who are playing the gambits, they forget it. That when you are playing a gambit, your opponent accepts the sacrificed material. It doesn't mean that he is going to hold on to the gained material. It only means that he can use this extra material and perhaps give it back at the right time. So for example here, the typical mistake for black would be try to hold on to this extra material, and pretty much everybody already knows this stuff. So d5 is a known mistake because white just takes on f6, e takes, and queen h5. Yeah, so that is quite a well-known trick in this line. And after g6, queen d5, black loses a pawn by force. So there's nothing black can even do. I mean, if he takes on d5, that's a double attack on the pawns on c7 and f6, and f5 is impossible because of the queen e5 check. So essentially, I mean, black is losing a pawn for no compensation. I mean, perhaps except of the two bishops, but clearly not enough compensation for the lost pawn. So d5 is not really working. I'm going to recommend here to play g6, which I believe is the strongest continuation against this setup. But there is also quite an interesting way to gain a really sharp game after knight c6. Let me just give some honorable mentions that normally c6 would be a great move because we want to play d5, and presumably if white is in a hurry to regain the pawn, then black just gets excellent game. Yeah, so d5, bishop d6, short castle. He has very strong dark square bishop and a healthy pawn structure. But essentially, if white is playing a gambit, of course, he is not going to rush to regain the pawn, and he is aiming for initiative and a quick development of his pieces. So this is why f3 is quite powerful. So after f3, let's say e takes and knight f3, white develops a very strong initiative. So something like queen d2, long castle, bishop c4, and black is so much lagging behind in development. It doesn't mean it's not playable, it's just super risky. So if he would try to hold on to this pawn with a move d5, the major difference here is that we have made a useless move c6. So this is why I would like to recommend to play g6 with the same idea. If you would happen to encounter the Staunton gambit, with the idea that if white is insisting to play the gambit, we are still playing d5, takes, and instead of the useless move c6, we have made actually quite a useful move g6. And still, black is very happy if at any given time white is hurrying to regain the pawn. Let's say takes, knight e4, and well, I don't know, there are probably more than one good continuation, something like knight c6, perhaps bishop h6, queen e7. So the position looks really nice for black. So typically if white is playing a gambit this way, I mean, he's not going to hurry to regain the pawn. So after f3, d5, takes, bishop. Yeah, obviously, I mean, white is going to take on f6, bishop c4, not to let the black king to make a castle. And after bishop g7, knight e2, there is a very nice move, knight c6. So with the intention to play knight a5. I think actually it was possible to play it right away. After bishop c4, I think it was possible to play it right away. Yeah, so knight c6, knight e2, and knight a5. Essentially exchanging this light square bishop And without it, for white, it's quite difficult to organize anything real. So that's the idea. I mean, white has to try to keep this bishop on the board. So after g6, pretty much, I mean, I'm out of any great ideas how white actually could try to fight for advantage here, because black just wants to play d5 the next move. And there is not going to be any more bishop takes on f6 and queen h5. So this is why actually g6 is also protecting against this check on h5. And yeah, I mean, bishop f6 would be really a sad way for white to acknowledge that his gambit has failed. So pretty much, I mean, this would be the main line. f3, d5. And by the way, what is quite important about this position is that black would love to keep the pawn on e4 for as long as possible. So typically, if at any given time black accepts the pawn on f3, this gives this knight some very strong perspectives in the center. I mean, still this is playable, something like bishop g7, d6, c6, but white is enjoying a very good compensation. So the main point of the move d5 is that we are messing up with this knight's active prospects. So he is not going to be able to position very actively in the center. And white has no time to force black to take on f3. So for example, something like queen e2, I mean, white would love black to force to take on f3. We are continuing the development with knight c6, and the pawn on d4 is under attack. So for example, something like a long castle, and probably we are happy to sacrifice the pawn back. Let's say bishop g7 takes on e4, and what is this? Knight e4, knight e4, and takes, and suddenly black has a very, very good development. Actually, he is ahead. So he is already threatened to play something like knight takes on d4. Very quickly he can make a castle. So this pawn on e7 is the only weakness he has. So it's not really working. It's not really working for black. So yeah, hi Alberto, I'm happy you're here. Yeah, you're the first one in the chat. I was already thinking, where's everybody? Right. So essentially the Staunton gambit, I think it's pretty much refuted with g6 because black gets an excellent game. I mean, would be something interesting if white would try to play h4, threatening to play h5. So I've not really analyzed this. I believe you can even play as simple as, let's say, d5, h5, and let's say bishop f5. Looks completely normal. And we are just normally developing the pieces, and while white is trying to play a gambit, I mean, we are just healthily developing. Ah, you're listening. I see. Hi, Sleepy Mary. Hi, Aleb Chess. Okay, that's good. That's good. It's good to hear. You know what would be the most terrible thing? That I'm talking alone. I'm talking with a wall. Yeah, so that's good that somebody is listening. Right. So knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5. Yeah, d5 is a mistake. So after g6, followed by bishop g7, d5. f3, d5, black gets an excellent game. So this is the reason actually why nobody today is playing hydrate. Yeah, hydrate is important. Oh, I also liked it. Yeah, I think it was quite great, including my great fail. I stopped at 75 in a puzzle survival. That was quite something, wasn't it? Right. I mean, actually, Weekly Puzzle Fix is one of my favorite shows, pretty much every single week, because it always ends with some kind of a drama. Yeah. So anyway, e4 is not going to work. I think it's quite straightforward. There's just a couple of lines to learn, and white is definitely not going to crush black this way. So there's also another way how white can try to sacrifice a pawn, is to play g4. And this is actually quite tricky. A move as g4, it would very nicely work against people who are really fond of extra material, like myself. I mean, I really like extra material. I mean, if I see a pawn, I just take it, right? But here the point is, after g4, so let's assume we have to take. I mean, we don't have to, right? I mean, there's other moves as well. There's a move like d5. There's a e6, d6. I mean, if our opponent is offering a gambit, not the first move, totally not the first move, then we don't have to accept it. But the thing about the gambits, I think it's quite principled to accept them. I mean, not being afraid, because essentially a gambit doesn't mean it's such a great opening. It's like taunting your opponent. I mean, I'm going into complications. I think I'm better than you. And it's completely normal to accept the challenge. But I mean, you don't have to. If you don't feel you're up to the challenge, yeah, exactly. I mean, h3, we are going to have a look at this. Yeah, Alberto, that is a very, very good point. But I mean, let's check it with this order. So if white plays g4 right away, so I think it's quite principled to accept it. And after f takes h3, now we have a choice. So here the point for white is after g takes, white typically plays, what was the move here? I think it was knight takes on h3. Let's say I have no clue what is going on here. I'm still playing the normal Dutch defense Leningrad system. I'm playing knight f6, knight g5, g6, and queen d3. So this is the big point. Rook takes on h7 is a very, very annoying threat. And you can believe me, I was playing this line and falling into this when I was younger. I mean, in the childhood, when people actually they love to play various gambits, especially in the Dutch defense. So I fell into this trap more than once, and it wasn't really clear that this is such a bad line. There's various setups how white can try to reach this in various sort of the moves. I mean, maybe instead of the knight takes on h3, there's a move queen d3, or start with knight h3, knight g5, then queen d3. So it's really, really tricky. But the bottom line, maybe this is playable. It's dangerous. So I wouldn't really recommend this to just for a pawn to give up the initiative for white so easily. And actually, if you would ask the Silicon Beast, hydrate, yes, thank you. So if we would ask the Silicon Beast, the engines, what they're thinking about, and they're saying the best move here is d5. They insist this is a good line. I mean, I do agree. This is a good line for black, but I mean, you still need to be quite careful, and you need to be ready to accept the thrown challenge. So after d5, let's say something like h takes, bishop takes. What might be the line here? For example, something like queen d3, knight f6, maybe f3 with the intention to play e4, e4, knight c6. I mean, the game is quite sharp. And definitely it feels that white has some sort of a compensation. Oh, okay. I see. Pawn grabber. I mean, why not? Especially in accelerated time controls. Especially when your opponent is caught off guard. Playing such gambits can be a great idea. But I have believed. I mean, now I'm talking from the white's perspective. You have to feel the right moment. And for example, playing this on a regular level probably is not a good idea. But I mean, sometimes I would actually play myself a gambit like the Staunton gambit or this g4h3, whatever this gambit is titled, I don't know, really. And just for one game, just to see, just to try to catch my opponent off guard. So I mean, why not? But I mean, objectively, there's nothing for white. But there is a very simple remedy to this gambit. I mean, if you don't want to do this, after your opponent plays h3, you can simply decline. You can just play g3. And that's it. I'm sorry, what was it? Yeah, not d5, but g3. And I've played it more than once. This continuation, it's super easy. The game character changes completely. There is no more gambit. So let's say after f takes, knight f6, knight c3. Yeah, okay, again, the computer says the best move is d5, followed by g6, bishop g7, probably rightfully so. But I've played something like this. Knight c6, and if white plays e4, I play e5. And typically white would close the center, d5, knight d4, I continue with bishop c5, d6 with... yeah, I mean, you don't have to accept, right? Okay, here the engine of course insists that after e5 white has to open the position, knight e5, bishop f4, and seemingly he has some sort of advantage here after knight f3. Okay, now since I'm playing at the GM level, now this is more obvious. I'm just telling you what was my approach to this line for some years actually. So if I saw somebody is playing against me g4 and then playing h3, I would just sometimes just take it back. I mean, just take this pawn back on g3 and let's just play some normal positional game. And I mean, there's a number of ways how you can continue this. For example, perhaps probably g6, e4, d6, bishop g7, e6. I mean, maybe you will get a slightly worse position, but I mean, it's completely playable. Yeah, but of course, like I said, the computer insists here that you have to play d5. You have to stop e4 from happening. Yeah, so something like, I don't know, bishop g2, and you could actually play aggressively in the center. c5 with intention, after d takes, play d4. Yeah, so one of the, again, I don't think I actually mentioned this. One of the reasons why I've always been quite a big fan of the Dutch defense is it offers really unorthodox variations. I mean, when you're playing d4, there is quite positional game. In most of the lines, it's really positionally great struggle. I mean, but in the Dutch defense, it's something out of this world. I mean, some of the lines that are being generated, yeah, they're very unusual, untypical. So this is why it's really so great. For example, I'm a GM myself. Highest was 2630. I've came to realize it's really such a great weapon, up to at least 2400, definitely. I mean, I played it and I won, I don't know, maybe 90% of the games. Yeah, against, let's say, opposition of 2 or 400, I'm playing the Dutch defense at the right time. I feel this is the right time to play. I have the proper mood. I have the artistic feeling before the game. I just scored really well. But again, I think it's not a great idea to just play exclusively the Dutch defense. You have to mix it with something else. Okay, so let's go forward. So h3 is not going to work, and Alberto actually mentioned, I mean, it's not like it's not going to work. It is a playable move, but it's not really something that black should be overly concerned. BBB, haha, what you're not, you are not a GM. Okay, I did not understand the last comment, sorry. Yeah, so here actually one can try to play h3, and still with the same idea. Let's say, I mean, I'm oblivious what is going on here. Yeah, so let's say I'm playing the typical Leningrad system. So I play knight f6, and let's say after g4, I say, okay, this is a pawn, takes, and what was the line here? I think it was queen d3. I might be mistaken. I think it was queen d3. With the point of knight f6 is, boom, rook h7, resignation. Yeah, I will be discussing bishop g5. Definitely. This is definitely one of the continuations. So what I would like to do is to give some kind of introduction to the most critical lines today. I mean, since I'm presenting the Dutch defense, I'll also tackle with bishop g5 the second move. Yeah, and here essentially black can resign. I think I fell into this trap when I was playing in my childhood. So if I'm not accepting this pawn, yeah, then I have to play something like d5, and this is entirely a different game. I mean, it is, of course, a completely normal position, but that's the point, that accepting this pawn, again, is super dangerous. I'm thinking here after g6 was the same sacrifice. Takes here, pretty sure it was like this. Takes here, queen g4, and a very, very annoying positional threat, queen h5, knight f3, and knight g5. I'm pretty sure that black is already in trouble here. I can know, I mean, I know this because I've played this with black, so I know this. So it doesn't work. But the point is, I think it's quite important to understand that if you're playing the Dutch defense, black doesn't have to play the Leningrad system at all costs. It means you don't have to play g6, bishop g7 if there's something else going on the board. So here specifically against h3, I think the simplest move just to close this line is to play d6. So d6, we're changing the order of the moves. We are not rushing with knight f6. If white is playing g4, still inviting to play a gambit, we are declining. e5, and that's it. So after e5, let's say, I mean, white probably has to take. What might be the line here? Knight c3 and something like, I don't know, maybe knight f6. It's just a completely normal position. We want to play c6, king c7 to limit this knight's activities to jump d5 or b5 and just get a normal game. So again, there's probably more than one continuation to this. I mean, computer, again, really likes the option to play d5. For example, knight f6, g4, and to play d5. He really likes the rising positions, but probably I think it's not so clear after something like white could play still knight c3, insisting on the gambit. And yeah, probably we have to play very actively in the center with something like c5. Again, with the same ideas after d5 to play d4, which is the common idea. Although I don't know what is happening here after g5. Some weird mess. Yeah, I don't know what is that. So anyway, I mean, this is not going to work in terms of white is fighting for the advantage. And I would like to show you one game where it is from my own games, where my opponent was trying to play a gambit. Perhaps I'll actually show two games. And after these gambits, we're going to switch on to the more positional approaches, including bishop g5 and the typical Leningrad systems. But I think it's quite important in the beginning to start with the gambits. Because if you don't know the gambits, then you're just busted in a couple of moves. Right. Yeah, so let me just copy paste this game. Oh, sorry. Wrong game. For some reason, would not copy. Okay, here it is. Should be, yeah, it's definitely tricky. It's tricky. So here, for example, I was playing this game in a classical game. Yeah, I've played the Dutch defense up to GM level. Would you believe who is the strongest player who have played against the Dutch defense? Can you guess? Try to guess. Yeah, of course, Magnus. But okay, I mean, it was online game. I think I could show you the game, actually. And he played the second move, bishop g5. It was an online game, 3 minutes blitz game. But I mean, I still felt that's like sending a nice message, like, I'm not afraid. I mean, to play against the world champion, the Dutch defense. I mean, why not? Why not? So since he is so much stronger, so I felt that I have to try to play something funny, and I decided that I'm gonna play Dutch defense, and I actually got a very good game. I'll show you it, at least what was played in the opening as far as I remember after this one. Yeah, so after knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, d5. Yeah, this is what I'm recommending to play against knight c3 and bishop g5. Here my opponent played f3. So I was playing against international master, Roland Berzic. He's from Latvia. He used to be 2470 something. Now he is almost 2400. His rating has dropped slightly. And he is willing to play, I'm sorry, not e45, but e4. So the question is, how do we meet this? And again, I already have this, my belief, this information that any single gambit black should not be afraid of. So if my opponent is willing to strike in the center, this means I can do the same. So here after f3, there was a very nice move c5. So the point is, again, if white takes on c5, I'm playing d4, what are you gonna do with this knight? Knight b5 is impossible because of the check. So something like knight b1, e5, and if we look at this position again, it clearly means that, I mean, something has happened terribly wrong for white, right? I mean, he played f3 just for the sake of this one pawn. I'll just happily sacrifice it on c5. I mean, I just don't care because I got a very good development, a very strong center, and clearly white cannot do this. Yeah, so after c5, this was in the game. So my opponent struck in the center with e4. So after e4, his intention is that if I'm gonna take, let's say, takes, takes, and takes, he can still continue to play maybe even d5, looks quite interesting. Maybe just take the pawn on c5, queen d1, rook d1. This pawn on e4 is feeling more vulnerable than the pawn on c5. So seemingly that was a great idea to play this e4. And again, if I would take on d4 here, queen d4, knight c6, and bishop b5. So it's quite logical. Except of one move. After e4, black suddenly has knight c6. And now after bishop b5, because essentially there's nothing else. So in the game, what happened was e takes on d5. But let's say I would try to take here. Then we are pushing again the same idea to play d4, e5. If white is playing e5, we can actually just snatch the pawn on d4 with a really great position. And after bishop b5, which probably would be the case if we would include c takes queen d4 and then knight c6, bishop b5. But there is a major difference. After take, take, and what was it? Yeah, knight takes on e4, quite important order of the moves. White cannot take on c5 and play d5 because of this check. And something like takes, takes, and black essentially gets quite a great position. So this was probably the best continuation that white should have went for, and seemingly with an equal position, but with great chances for black to take over. So what happened in the game? He took here. I'm sorry, he did not play bishop b5. He take here, take, take, here, and after some complications, essentially, I sacrificed the pawn on c5 for a great center. And after a couple of more forcing moves, I just got a better position. Because the knight is going on f7, bishop is going here, and I've regained the pawn for a ruined pawn structure. So yeah, the game actually ended quite quickly. Here, here, the king goes on c6, takes, and my opponent actually blundered bishop d4. So clearly black is already taking over. So how did this happen? I mean, white tried to play a gambit. So it started with a normal looking move, knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, which is completely okay. So d5 is, I think, quite an important move to stop white's ambition in the center. And f3, it just doesn't work because of this very active c5, knight c6 counter strike in the center. And e4, black is just getting on top of the, on top of all of the complications. Yeah, so the best move here is to play e3, actually. Yeah, and we are gonna get to this line, I think. And I would like to show you the second notable gambit I had was against Alina Kashlinskaya. I lost the game, actually. We were playing in, what was it? I think it was a European championship, European Rapid Championships a couple of years ago in Katowice. Alina Kashlinskaya is one of the strongest female players in the world, and she is the wife of Polish GM Radoslav Wojtaszek. Naturally has all of the access to her husband's analysis, I would imagine, right? Yeah, so we are playing a rapid game, and I decided, okay, I just want to play some Dutch defense because I felt this is the right moment to play the Dutch defense. Because essentially, I mean, you have to get this feeling before the game that you are in this right mood to play the Dutch defense. If you're feeling like not really that great, probably playing a very dynamic position when you are feeling like today is not a good day, you shouldn't do this. So what happened here? C4, knight c3. Yeah, so actually knight c3 is quite a tricky move. The point is, this is one of the favorite continuations of Shahryar Mamedyarov, how he typically treats the Dutch defense with white. So the point is, for example, I would try to do something like the standard. Yeah, well, I would play g6. So white can play bishop g5, bishop g7, and actually he can take on f6. And at the right, no, wait, I think I actually misplayed it. I think it was queen d2 first. And with the idea, for example, if white was still threatened to play bishop h6, now white can take on f6, take, and now push e4. Takes, and knight e4. And this is way too much for black because we have lost so many tempos here. So this is not going to work. I mean, maybe I can play instead of the h6, I could play something like a short castle, but then white can just play h4 with intentions to play h5, and I don't have the access to the typical h6 to meet the h5 threat. So this h4, h5 is a very, very common way how white sometimes tries to destroy the Dutch defense's Leningrad system. The Leningrad system is this g6, bishop g7 setup for black. I mean, this is not the only setup, but this is one of the most popular ones. So here the point is, we start with d6, so that we can meet bishop g5 with knight bd7, and then proceed to play g6, bishop g7, and should white actually take on f6, we can recapture with the knight, and not give white the possibility to strike at the center with e2, e4. So that is the big idea anyway. So for example, white could try to play something like, still he could try to play queen d2, for example, but I don't have to play g6 anymore. I mean, I can play e5 as well. e5, bishop e7, and short castle. Who said? I mean, I have to position the bishop on g7. I mean, nobody. Right. So after d6, this was in the game against Alina Kashlinskaya. Bishop g5, knight e7, and my opponent suddenly, boom, she played g4. So how we would treat this approach? I mean, I'll tell you honestly, I knew nothing here. I mean, obviously I knew the idea. I knew the idea to sacrifice the pawn, to play g4, h3. In this setup, I had no clue. I'm pretty sure my opponent was improvising here as well. So g4 is quite a thematic idea, try to switch the game to a gambit. So what should we do? I think it's quite important to accept the challenge. So we are accepting the challenge. h3. And I'm probably not very happy to find out what is gonna happen if white can actually checkmate me here on this h file, something like bishop takes, queen something here, long castle, then a very powerful center. It feels very dangerous. So again, we are using the same motive to give up the pawn, not to open h file, and after f takes, g6. So white no longer can very quickly open the h file to sacrifice the exchange on h5 and try to checkmate black immediately. So what happened in the game? Knight f3, here, queen c2, clearly intending to play e4, and here, since my bishop is positioned on this long diagonal, it's quite important to understand that a move like e5 will actually contribute only in white's favor, because let's say, I'm not saying that immediately black has to do this, but let's say if we are playing e5, we are imprisoning our own bishop on g7. So this is not a great idea. So this is why c5 is a better approach, to open the bishop, open the long diagonal. So I don't know, I mean something like d takes on c5, perhaps it was possible. I would just take with the knight, continue with the castle, bishop f5. Actually my game feels very much dynamic and very much interesting. So it's only natural that in the game follow d5. Now look at this powerful bishop. Short castle, not afraid of any h4, h5 ideas. And who is going to be first? a6, h4, b5, bishop h3, knight b6. And after bishop takes on c8, I probably made the only mistake in the game. Because after that, it was already quite difficult to understand what was going on. I took with the rook. That was a mistake. So I was still hoping my opponent is going to accept the pawn. And then I'm just going to organize rook a8, rook b8, knight c4, something. These are very easy targets. And the king is going to feel so much exposed at the queen side. So what happened in the game that after rook takes on c8, she felt that white needs to organize her own game very quickly. And after knight h5, g4, bishop h6, suddenly white developed a very, very strong initiative. Yeah, it was already quite difficult to understand what was going on here. So for example, king g7 is knight g5. So I felt this is completely out of control, because I don't like such positions when I'm unable to evaluate the consequences and I might just getting checkmated like in 5 moves. So for computer it's obvious that you have to play queen a5, but I mean this position is anything but obvious to me. Okay, rook h7, black already, computer already found a win. Yeah, so this is not actually working. I'm just getting checkmated. You see how easy it was. Yeah. So what was the mistake? So the mistake was to take with the rook, and I had to take with the queen, give access to queen f5. So for example, h5. I mean, the simplest probably approach is just to play queen f5. And because of my queenside activities, black has, yeah, one wrong move. And that's it. That's all it took. And it was already quite difficult. I made a mistake afterwards and I lost the game. Yeah, hi Vishnu. Happy you're here. Yeah, so anyway, but the evaluation of the line doesn't change. So actually, this is why I think it's quite important when you're checking the games in the database. Let's say you're using ChessBase or any other program. Don't really look at the end of the game. I mean, how the game finished, because not always, not always it's gonna tell you was this a good line or not. Actually, I've seen some very interesting openings which are really, really great, really dynamic, and for some reason they're scoring so bad. I don't know why. I mean, the positions, their rising positions, they're great, but I mean sometimes it just happens. The opponents keep misplaying the position and the final score is just not what it should be. So I don't think that this line is dangerous for black. It's just excellent line. Yeah, okay, Vishnu, have a good luck with your own stream. Yeah, so this was one of my recent approaches with the gambits. Lately, I have not really met so many gambits, because essentially people already know that I am a regular Dutch defense player, and this means they're not going to test my knowledge in some weird lines. We are streaming something like 45 minutes, I think, so still a good portion of the theoretical discussion is ahead. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, I mean, I think this was all of the gambits. Maybe something like, I mean, what else here? Maybe queen d3 is a funny approach. Queen d, but that's not a gambit, right? I mean, white is not sacrificing anything. It's just a funny move. So queen d3 idea is to play e4. But again, I'm not going to discuss this. This is just strange. I mean, I could just play something like d5, which is completely normal. So let's go for some main stuff. So bishop g5. Somebody posted in the chat. So bishop g5. Am I gonna cover this? Yeah, definitely. Bishop g5 is actually the game I played Staunton gambit we already covered. But bishop g5 was the game I played against Carlsen in the online blitz. And I'll try to remember how the game progressed. So the best move is g6. h4, which is the common way to meet Leningrad system. h6. I mean, otherwise this is dangerous. For example, something like bishop g7, I have to keep an eye on h5 at any given time. Although here specifically, I can still play h6 and g5. Yeah, so after h4, h6, bishop f4, knight f6. It's interesting approach, playing gambits. I just think it's not really a good idea to play it too often. I mean, playing gambits absolutely normal because the element of surprise is very, very important when you're catching your opponent off guard. It's essentially at the top level. They're doing this all the time. If you would check what they're playing the gambits as well. They're just not playing the same gambits. They're just changing and trying to surprise just for one game. At that level, it's already enough. Yeah, of course, the element of surprise is super, super important. And here, the typical idea is that h5 at any given time is going to be met by g5. And in this game against Magnus, I think it was something like knight f3 here, 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 bishop c4. Try to stop my short castle, e6. He played something like here, here, knight d2, knight c6, queen e2, e5. No, I think I actually played not e5, I played knight h5 and e5, something like this. Takes, e4, f4. And black is just better. Can you believe this? Yeah, black is just better in the Dutch defense. Yeah, so Dutch definitely can be a great weapon. I lost the game. Yeah, I lost the game because we were playing 3 minutes without increments. So yeah, but I've met this I met the system number of times, and I don't think this is really such a great weapon for white. I mean, this bishop g5, I think it's just not working. Yeah, so after bishop g5 and g6, which is quite important move, let's say white could try to somehow destroy the center. Yeah, I mean bishop g5 is Sleepy Mario who played this. What do you suggest now after g6? Yeah, chat is alive. Yeah, people are getting alive. Yeah, after bishop g5, g6, let's say I would try to open the center. Knight c3, bishop g7, and e4. It looks super normal, except black is just doing excellent here. So let's say I'm taking knight e4, and what is now critical? We're playing d5 again. Here are a couple of the noise. What is with the noise? What is with the noise? Yeah, so after d5, let's say white's playing either knight c3 or knight c5. It doesn't really change our approach. Let's say knight c3 or knight c5, b6, knight b3 doesn't change. What you need to know is just one move. Knight h6. Okay, you misspelled it. Yeah. So knight h6, I love this move. Absolutely love this. So the point is we want to make a short castle. So for example, knight f3, short castle, let's say bishop e2, c5, d takes, knight f7, it's super, super sharp. And let's say it's something like here, and e5. Okay, maybe I should have taken the pawn on b2. Just wanted to illustrate the idea, yeah, how to take control of the center. What you're mentioning, Sleepy Mario, this d4, f5, bishop g5, h6, I used to play this like yourself for years. Yeah, so Sleepy Mario is referring to this. So after bishop g5, h6, bishop h4, g5, bishop g3. Okay, you cannot play f4 because of the e3 and the simple checkmate threat. That's not so great. And after knight of, what was it? Knight f6, e3, d6, h4. I used to play a lot of rook g8, then I switched to g4, and but still, I mean, white was somehow getting the upper hand in knight c3, queen d2, f3, e4 ideas. So I was sort of struggling, and it didn't feel like this is such a great line to take over, because again, it's quite important to understand. It's also important when you are, Discord is not working. I've made a Discord, but the command is definitely not working. I have a club. I mean, it should be, I can give you the club. That's my Discord there. Here's the club. I'm trying to organize some activities there. So when you're analyzing, let's say you're analyzing some lines in, after the raid maybe, Vishnu. Yeah, when we are analyzing the lines, it's quite important that some people are doing the analysis in the Dutch defense, and they think, okay, I mean, the computer is saying it's 0.5 for white, this is not great, but what is important? You are playing the Dutch defense, not to equalize, and this is a common mistake. Some people who are so-called engine slaves, right? I mean, they're making analysis, and they're trying to get this closer to 0.00, right? Because this is essentially what we are trying to get in our analysis. When you are working home with a computer, working with the lines, I mean, now I'm probably talking already slightly a pro level, but the point is, we are playing the Dutch defense not to equalize. We are playing it to take over, and that is the difference. So essentially, the computer is not going to prove of the lines in the beginning. It's going to say white is so much better, but the position is complex. So when you are playing something else, let's say you're playing, I don't know, maybe the Catalan, you're playing the Queen's Indian, then the computer evaluation is important, right? Because you are fighting for equalizing, then perhaps the computer evaluation is important. In Dutch defense, typically computer will always say that white is just better. What are you doing, guys, there in the chat? Anyway, so I was not really a big fan of this line. I mean, although I've played this... you're trying to redeem something? You mean you wanted to redeem for the raid? No, I'm just gonna raid you anyway. Don't worry. Don't worry. If I'll remember this, yeah. So 2007 Vishnu, yeah. I'll try to remember. Don't worry. Anyway, yeah. So after bishop g5, so this is what my attention came to the move g6. And we're still playing the same Leningrad system with bishop g7, d6, knight f6, doesn't change anything. And if white should play at any given time h4, this is why it's quite important to include h6, knight f6, d6, bishop g7 has been my game against Magnus. No, nobody's offended. Total chill. Okay, so... what was the lines here? I mean, there's a number of ways how I can try to play this out. For example, let's say he's just playing out traditionally something like knight f3, bishop g7, and e3. But then again, it's not really clear why white actually positioned this bishop on g5, right? I mean, I can play now, I think, h6, here, d6. I'm playing against this bishop. Some g5 ideas might appear in the air. So let's say, I don't know, maybe c4, knight f6, knight c3. Now I already can make a castle. And I'm thinking about the ideas to play knight c6, queen e8, and e5. Maybe let's say like this. Knight c6, castle, knight h5, bishop g3, and e5. That's the dream position. I mean, we already got everything we wanted. I mean, we don't even need to take this bishop on g3. So in many occasions in the Dutch defense Leningrad system, black is aiming for this push in the center with e7, e5. You know about this move h4, I'll tell you honestly. As soon as I see a move in h4 in Dutch defense, for me it's like this. Like this. Because pawns, they don't go back. And if white is playing h4, this means he is not going to be, most likely, he is not going to be able to castle short. It's a very, very committal move. And the whole intention to play h4 was to play h5, right? But if he is not allowing this to happen, so what was the point to play h4 in the first place? You think so? Yeah, I think you're a Petrosian's fan, right? Yeah, Petrosian said essentially that. If your opponent is playing the Dutch defense, don't stop him. I think it's a great opening. I think so. That's my honest belief. But again, use in the right doses. Not too much. Play at the right time, at the right moment. Because of Lila? Lila plays the Dutch defense? I wouldn't know. Against Stockfish, right? Yes, of course, mix up with other lines, because I think every single professional is probably gonna agree with me that if you're playing chess at a competitive level, okay, I'm not talking about the top level, but let's say at the GM level, you need two types of openings. One type of opening, I'm playing to equalize. Let's say I just want to play some positional chess, I just woke up with my left foot, I'm just not feeling really great, sort of under the weather, so I just want to play something solid with black, with nothing dramatic going out. And there's the second continuation, which is a very aggressive approach. And I think this is actually why Dutch defense is such a great opening, because it's very, very dynamic. Okay, so bishop g5, I hope I gave at least some kind of introduction. So let's go to the carry the h pawn or carry the g pawn. Yeah, I see your point. You mean, yeah, pushing the h pawn forward. Okay, so let's try to check this. Knight c3, knight f6, and bishop g5, which is also quite interesting. And we have to play d5. I think so. I mean, otherwise nothing else here makes really sense. So for example, e6, white is just playing e4, he is already slightly better. So something like bishop e7, takes, queen d2, long castle. I mean, this is probably not fun. The point of g6 would be great. Yeah, this would be great. If not for bishop f6, he takes, and white is not going to play e4 anymore. So he's going to play, I think, d5 to stop my own d5 from happening. So I'm going to suffer because of this bishop, because of these double pawns. Yeah, thank you for the hydrate command. Yeah, so this is not working. So after bishop g5, d5, there's a number of continuations at white's disposal. Bishop f6, it's the most popular continuation. Yeah, it's the most popular. I think it's the least dangerous. That's my belief. Because we are taking with the e pawn. You might think actually, wait a second, guys. Yeah, wait a second, guys. White could play e4, f takes, and queen h5. We get the same position with a different order of moves, right? It's not like that. Because after e4, we actually can take with the d pawn. And it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't transpose to the Staunton gambit, because we are checking this line in the Staunton gambit. Here we have a choice. We can take with the d pawn. Yeah. Who plays the Dutch defense? Flash of Steel plays Dutch defense. I mean, many people play Dutch defense. Yeah. So of course, it's I think quite a fun opening. Here the point is that white typically tries to pressure this pawn with e3, bishop d3, queen f3, knight e2, knight f4, h3, g4, so on and so forth. But yeah, this is why I'm actually doing this stream. trying to popularize the Dutch defense because it's really fun, and in my point of view, quite better than a couple of other shady defenses. Yeah, so what's happening here after e takes, let's say white is playing e3, bishop e6, bishop d3, knight c6. We are threatening to play knight b4 to exchange the bishop. a3, queen d7, queen f3. And all you need to know is you need to somehow get the knight from c6 to e4. Yeah, I mean, the knight on c3, that's the biggest drawback, of course. I mean, should it be on d2? That would be something else, right? I mean, he could try to prepare c4, maybe it could go to b3, c5, something. Here on c3, it's not doing much. So actually, sometimes white is trying to somehow rearrange the pieces like b3, knight a4, knight b2, and then try to push c4. But this takes, yeah, so much time. Yeah, Flash of Steel, I completely agree. White has the idea to play h4. For example, what was the line? So I'm to move, for example, I'm going to play g6, h4, and the idea is to push h5. We are not going to allow any h5 to happen. Knight e2, castle, knight f4, and bishop f7. This is the position which computer thinks he is doing also great. But if we think about this position really carefully, it's not clear what white is going to do here. Can you name me a progress here, what white should do here? Because he has no g4. I mean, we need to watch out for any common g4, h takes, h5 ideas. Of course, yeah, there is such an idea at some moment to sacrifice g4. Yeah, knight b1, knight d2, c4, something, but this is slow. Hi, Arya. Yeah, that's great to hear. What is good? Yeah, Dutch defense? Dutch defense is good. Your rating is also good, don't worry. Yeah, so, and our idea is we want to position, we have a clear idea, we want to get the knight to e4. And if we are really concerned about this knight on f4, we can just trade it. It's not really a big deal. And this is a very, very solid position. And in the beginning, computer, of course, thinks it's really great. But by the way, black has a very nice idea here at the right time to play knight e5 as well. For example, I would try to make a short castle, and at the right time, I'm not saying it's right now, I can play knight e5. Try to trade the knight for the bishop, and here I either win this knight or I push e4. And this idea of knight c6, e5 is quite important to know, because you might just catch your opponent off guard. I certainly have done it myself. I mean, there's obviously a number of ways how one can try to play this out. I mean, you can try to push h3, g4, but again, you're going to play h5 yourself. So for example, again, let's try to do this. Bishop e6 here, queen d7. Well, I don't know, maybe let's start with knight e2. I'll start with knight c6, threatening to play knight b4, something like this. So a3, I think it's important to include. Otherwise, knight b4, knight e3, there's nothing for white. Yeah, hi, Herrirde. Haven't seen you for some time. Yeah, so after, let's say white is playing queen f3. What was it? Oh, I'm sorry, it's black to move. Yeah, so let's make a long castle, queen f3, g6, h3, and we could just play. By the way, computer again is saying knight e5 is possible here, but I mean I could just play h5 as well and fix the pawn structure, the king side at h4. And if white is playing h4, we are still going for the same idea to play knight e4. And if you would check the database, you would notice strong GMs don't play this. There's a reason. I mean, I think this whole approach is just not dangerous for... okay, you're just lurking. But I mean, it's good to know that you're letting know that you're lurking. I like that people just say hi. Even if you are just watching, I mean, just sure you just go ahead and say hi, because I'm quite happy to hear that yeah, people are watching. Yeah, only to undermine the f5, but I mean, it's easier said than done, right? And in terms of the actual plan, I think for white is, I mean, for black is just, that's good to hear. Okay, yeah, sure, say hi, of course. Better often than not so often. Right, and if you check the database, some really strong GMs, for example, Badur Jabava, I think he has played this line really. Yeah, I mean, in the sidelines, absolutely. Dutch defense is really looking great. Yeah, thank you, Hiride. Thank you for the nice words. So here, white is typically playing e3. I think this is more, more positional, more challenging, and white is not in a hurry to take on f6. So essentially, what we are getting some kind of a stonewall, Dutch stonewall position, and white has not taken the knight on f6. One of the most played continuations here is e6, and then play, what was it? I think it was c5, knight c6, bishop d6, and so on and so forth, and blah blah blah. But yeah, black played, no, knight c3, knight f6, yeah. So the first moves were d4, f5, knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, and d5. So this is how we got here. But what I don't like about this e6 move, it's sort of boring. I mean, it's completely played. I played it myself. I played it like this. Position the bishop here. Before I positioned the pawn on a6 to stop knight b5 from happening. b6, bishop b7, knight d7, but it's difficult to take over. So again, when I'm playing such a sharp opening as Dutch defense, I'm not playing for equalizing. I'm playing to take over. I'm playing to get initiative. And I'm sometimes semi-bluffing. I'm risking slightly so that in order I can get a dynamic position and try to win this game. If I would be playing for equalizing, I would be playing something else. So this is why I think here much more fun is bishop e6. It's quite a funny move actually. Yeah, so bishop e6 we are still insisting to play the Leningrad system. So the idea is to play knight e7, g6, bishop g7, and short castle, and not touch the c-pawn for the time being. So for example, I mean, let's say white will try something like bishop d3, knight, I think it's like this, knight f3, and g6. Again, the same idea. So we want to play here, here, and maybe knight e4 at the right time. So white would play, let's say, knight e2, bishop, or was it bishop f7? I don't remember. Knight f4, here, h4. Yeah, I have to play it carefully, not to mess up, obviously, because I don't want to suggest to you bad lines. Yeah, maybe I already mixed it up, because white is pushing h5 too quickly. Although, I mean, knight e4, h5, c5 still seems to be quite unclear. Yeah, Stonewall is also fine. Yeah, but I like it myself. I like it myself slightly more, this bishop e6, because I think it's more fun. What's about I like about this position, that this knight on c3 is misplaced for c4 to happen. So this is why typically white is going to rearrange the knight from e2 to 4 to make the c4 happen. So I could try to check what might be the most accurate order of the moves. Maybe it's like this: g6, knight e2, and bishop f7. Yeah, maybe this is more accurate. So that knight f4 actually can be met with h6. And if white is playing h4 right now, now we can try to play, I think, h6 anyway. Oh, computer disagrees. Okay, this looks ugly actually. Yeah, this looks ugly. Computer disagrees. After h4, knight h5. Look at this. Wow. So again, some c6, queen b6, bishop g7, e5 ideas appear, and But all of these moves, they are completely not obvious in terms from white's perspective. For example, a normal player after knight e7, knight f3 might just play short castle, right? Because it's the most normal thing to do. And he might just fight for this square. Let's say he could try to play bishop f4. Bishop f4, and it would run into knight h5. Bishop g3, takes, and we're actually taking over. So something like, I don't know, g5, g4, h5, h4, put the king on f7. So this is why, I mean, very often Dutch defense makes almost no sense in terms of typical rules. Hi, Chess Royale. Yeah. But I mean, this is a very solid setup. Very, very, very solid. So maybe there's something else instead of this, instead of the d5. Yeah, I mean, probably a number of ways how you can try to meet this. Actually, now that I'm looking at this, I'm not sure why people are not playing knight c6. Looks actually quite fun. So for example, knight c6, d5, and knight e5. Why I thought about this line is I know there's such a very funny line which I didn't show to you in one of these Taunton Gambit lines. So d4 f5, e4, and there's the really crazy lines after knight c6. This is fun. I mean, I should have shown you right away when I was showing this Taunton. So knight c6, I played it a number of times myself, and again the idea is obviously to meet f3 with d5. Yeah, so this is excellent. So white here plays d5, knight e5, and here we go. Yeah, there's a number of moves. There's f4, there's queen e2, there's queen d4. I'll tell you honestly, I mean, I don't remember. I mean, don't remember which was the best. Was it queen d4, was it queen e2? But the point is, Flash of Steel, oh, you play this yourself, right? So you know what I'm talking about. So queen e2, what was it? I think it was c6. c6, and what was the line? The old line. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember which was the old line, which is the modern line. I just remember that these two moves were possible because I played this already a couple of years ago. And the point is, after something like long castle, queen a5. And what was it? So we are threatening to take something. So if d takes, then obviously we are going to take b takes. There was at some moment move f4, knight f7, takes with the g pawn. And at some moment, we are actually closing the center, positioning the king on d8, pawn f5, bishop g7, just checkmating white. I mean, this is crazy. I've played this up to EM level, I think. It's quite fun, especially when you know all of the ideas. I mean, it's sort of bluffing, of course, but there's nothing better white can do. I mean, white has to go for this. Again, if he plays the Staunton, so knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5. Yeah, I was recommending obviously g6. Yeah, g6 is super nice move. Yeah, I love it. Against bishop g5 immediately, or after the Staunton, I think g6 is the remedy for everything. So after knight c6, d5, knight e5, let me try to remember. I think it was also, maybe Flash of Steel can actually help me here. I don't remember, there was I had some analysis there. So queen d4, knight f7, takes, and e takes supposedly is good, but I was playing for pawn g takes anyway. Queen e4, c6, long castle, queen a5, I think. It was something like this again. Knight d6, queen whatever, c5. Yeah, I mean, maybe I already misplayed it. Okay. No, I mean, it doesn't mean that you cannot know this line. It's completely normal. I mean, if you've studied this line, it might be just that you sometimes might know it than a GM. Why not? I mean, it's completely normal. And here's the idea, obviously, to push b5, b4. And sometimes, yeah, the king goes to d8 to avoid getting checkmated right away. So that's quite funny. Yeah, but I mean, why I thought about this? Because I was thinking about the same idea here. that if white would not hurry with e4, he would play knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5. And I was thinking, is it possible actually that I can try to play here knight c6 as well? It feels similar. For example, d5, knight e5, with the idea to play knight f7. Something like queen d4, knight f7, takes. What is this? No clue really. c6. Again, queen a5, knight d6, c5, b5, b4, something. Yeah, looks quite fun. Yeah, I mean, the f-pawn is still there. Yeah. I don't know, I mean, if we would ask the engines, they don't approve. They totally don't approve. They think this is garbage. But, I mean, this is fun. Yeah, queen is quite an important piece, yeah. And essentially, if you just know the ideas, it's already so much easier to play this out because white would have to figure this out. For example, let's say I'm putting this position. Let's say white is playing something e4, queen a5, maybe. I'm sacrificing. Okay, now probably I need to take it here anyway. Take. Let's say queen a5 something, king b1. If I manage to play d6, c5, f5, bishop g7, b5, sometimes knowing the ideas, they are more important than the actual evaluation of the position. Okay, I mean, anyway, this was quite fun. So let's move forward. So I don't know if knight a6 actually is playable or not. White doesn't have to push d5 anyway. So it was just an idea, so maybe it's possible. Yeah, so this is quite a serious attempt. And as far as I know, why not d6? Yeah, maybe d6 is also possible. You mean here, right? Whichever line it was. Knight f6, here, d5, here. I don't know if this is actually playable or not. I'm sorry, not bishop h4, of course. Takes, here, c6. You mean here, d6? Probably not. I can just take with the knight. I am not sure. 10 seconds ago. I already don't remember. I was improvising. Yeah, hydrate, yeah. I was already improvising and just toying with the ideas, but all of this, of course, is not necessary. I'm just showing it for fun. Right. Okay. So let's go back. And I wanted to show you one more interesting approach against knight c3. If you're not impressed with this knight f6, bishop g5, d5, e3, and if you think that white is, the principles. The principles, sometimes it's more important, like I said, than the actual evaluation. So here you can play d5 immediately. So the point is that after bishop g5, you can actually switch this line of knight f6. And after bishop g5, you can play, I don't know, maybe actually g6 right away. g6, bishop g7, then push away the bishop, and only then play knight f6. Knight f6, bishop e6, knight e7, c6, so on and so forth. And you are getting some kind of stonewall position. And again, computers don't approve. Yeah, that they typically don't like these positions. So if you would ask the engine, it's something like +1 or plus 0.8. Yeah, some kind of a Leningrad. And I'm a big fan of the Leningrad system. I've been for many, many years. So because I like the dynamics which arise from those positions. Right. Okay. So yeah, like I said, so you can try like this as well. And actually, it's quite funny here that white has this move bishop f4, and after knight f6, he can play knight b5, knight a6, and c4. I think so, at least, if I'm not mistaken. After e6, e3, he manages to rearrange the knight to c3. And I thought, you mean h4? If I'm not playing the Leningrad system, h4 probably is not so much, but I'm pretty sure you refer to the g6, those sort of Leningrad systems. Yeah, h4 is a viable continuation. Yeah, but like I said, I mean, this is a very committal move. I mean, here probably, yeah. But here is what is funny. I can also play a6. I mean, You know what? I mean, I probably don't want to recommend this to anyone because look at the last three moves Black has made. F5, D5, A6. I mean, probably you would accuse that Black is just drunk, right? I mean, how can you play like this? This is complete nonsense. But actually, in terms of the approach of the structure, this looks quite okay. So let's say White is playing Knight F3, Knight F6, E3, E6, and we still play the same. B6, Bishop B7, Bishop D6, short castle. At the right time we play Knight E4, maybe C5, and so on and so forth. But this looks so ugly. This move A6. Yeah, so it doesn't really... In Veresov, you mean Bishop G5, A6. Yeah, maybe, C6. You know, I'm not so sure about the C6. It is, of course, possible. Yeah, we can switch to... Essentially, we're switching to the stone wall, except White doesn't have move C4. I think that's got to play a role here, right? So C4 is sort of a good move for White to have. And yeah, we could play like this. Knight F6, E6, Bishop D6, B6, Bishop A6, so on and so forth. But what I think about this A6 move is that we are reserving this option to play C5 afterwards. So for example, White is playing something like this, something like this, and we can actually play B6 and C5. So that was my idea. Right, I mean, this looks crazy. I mean, F5, D5, A6. I'll tell you a little backstory from my childhood. I mean, when my coach told me you can play actually Dutch defense, he taught me the first system was the stonewall position. And I once was playing against him in a training game, and he played against me like this: D4, D5. I played F5, and my coach was, oh my goodness, how can you do this? This is crazy, you can't do this, right? And I said, dear coach, but I still get the stonewall position. I mean, I'm gonna play Knight F6, E6, C6, and Bishop D6. He said, no, you cannot do this, this is crazy, people don't play just like this. But I mean, this is possible, although this looks ugly, right? Of course, you can try to get the stonewall position with a slightly different order of the moves. And if I play it like this, in this order of the moves, this just gives White quite a lot of choices, quite a lot of extra choices which he wouldn't have. But if I would play it out normally, if I would play the stonewall system normally, for example, Knight F3, Knight F6, my opponent still has no clue which system I'm gonna choose. And here I'm finally shown, yeah, I'm playing the stonewall position. And he has already committed himself by playing some moves which he perhaps normally wouldn't play. Yeah, so of course, I mean, D5, F5, my coach was like this. But I mean, it is playable. So why I remember this, since I was I was recommending you to play this, I just remembered this funny line. So again, might be some kind of a provocation to play a gambit. E4, D takes, and actually, again, Black is just doing fine. Bishop C4, and I think that there was some kind of a main line here. Knight F6, F3, B5. I mean, okay, I don't want to I don't want to advertise some garbage lines. Yeah, I just want to advertise the Dutch defense as and blitz in blitz as well. Yeah, of course. In actually at the time controls, actually Dutch defense is quite popular. If you would check people who are playing the Dutch defense regularly, I mean, everybody has played Dutch defense. Probably at the top level, the biggest star who has played Dutch defense is most likely Hikaru Nakamura. Fred? What is Fred? Who is Fred? I don't know such an opening, Fred. Never heard of it. Stonewall. Maybe Magnus. I mean, I don't remember. I know Nepomniachtchi has played number of Leningrad positions. E4, F5. No Fred. No, I'm not going to recommend any Freds. No. No. I mean, this is not a Fred stream. I apologize. Fred is cool, if you think so. Okay, anyway. So let's go back. Let's go back to some of the main stuff. So, for example, now we are switching to some of the main lines, and white is playing like this: d4, f5, c4, knight f6, and knight c3. I think I already slightly mentioned this, that this is one of the f4 fried. This is one of the main weapons of Shahryar Mamedyarov, how he typically tries to attack with the Dutch defense. And the idea is to play very early bishop g5, queen c2, a long castle. So that is actually quite interesting. So this is why d6 is quite important. Bishop g5, knight bd7, to stop any quick e4 from happening. There are some crazy lines here. Let me try to remember. I think it was like this: queen c2, g6, e4. Yeah, so there's some backstory about this line. I analyzed this something like 5 years ago. Maybe not 5, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I don't remember. I was playing in a zonal tournament, one of the Baltic zonal tournaments, and yeah, story time. And my opponent was Mindaugas Benoras from Lithuania. He is an international master, and he was playing this line. And I prepared this line. I had a suspicion that this line might actually appear in the game, so I prepared it with the computer. So I prepared it quite deeply, and quite recently I managed to play against Daniel Friedman. We were playing some blitz game or rapid game, I don't remember. On one of the local tournaments, he had came here to Latvia because he comes from Latvia, now he's playing for the Germany. And he played this line. And after I played it out, I said to him, I have very big analysis here. So he was like, really? Yeah. So I'll try to show you. There were some funny lines here. So after, yeah, Riga is beautiful. I totally agree with you. So e4 takes, bishop g7, long castle. All of this makes super much sense. Now we play c5. D takes. What was it? No, sorry, D takes. Sorry, I think that was mistake already. Wait. C5, knight f3. Takes here. Knight c5. If I make one mistake, I'm busted already. Hi, Paulus. Greetings from Lithuania. Oh, you heard? I was talking about your comrade. Yes, talking about Mindaugas Benoras. I was playing against him a game in a zonal tournament a couple of years ago. So there's this backstory. I prepared this line, and I recently played against Daniel Friedman some little rapid game, whatever, and I repeated exactly the same line. So I sort of remember the analysis. Let me try to remember something like this: h6, g5, and I think it was queen a5. I don't remember already. Queen a5, bishop d6, and short castle. Something like this. I had big file there. Yeah, it's raising. Yeah. I mean, I don't have TV time today. So normally it will be even better. So sometimes when I'm doing the streams, I have the TV time of chess.com TV time. So I have a lot of viewers, but not all of them they're active in the chat. Yeah, so this is not with TV, just a regular stream. Yeah, so anyway, there are some crazy lines here. I don't remember, something like queen e7 and bishop g4 something. Yeah, so there was a total madness. Yeah, chat is totally great. Yeah. A punch in the face. I totally agree with you. Yeah. But I mean, it's quite forced. It's very logical. So look at this line. So white made all of the normal looking moves. If he's playing the system, queen c2, g6, it's really logical to push e4, right? e4 takes, here. Okay, instead of the long castle, he could try to play knight f3. But after c5, what are you gonna do? Yeah, you're the best. Totally. So after c5, there's still this long diagonal being threatened. Okay, maybe rook d1 is a possibility, but long castle is completely normal, right? So take here, knight c5, all of this is forced. Queen e3 is the most obvious move, h6 is forced, g5 is forced, and I mean queen a5 is not mandatory, but short castle is going to be met by something like h4 if I remember correctly. So after queen a5, I think there were some threats like queen a2, and there's a very dangerous attack incoming. So bishop d6 actually is a very tempting move. Yeah, I mean bishop d6 of course, and castle and whatever was the fallout from this. I mean, I'll tell you honestly, I don't remember. I have this written down somewhere. And against Daniel, when I was playing this line, this 1 month or what time ago we were playing this, I don't think he played like this. He misplayed it somewhere, so I got the upper hand, but I already don't remember how the game finished. Anyway, so it's quite fun. So quite interesting. Okay, and if white doesn't do this, and let's say white is pushing long castle, bishop g7. So after e4, we are gonna get the same position. Yeah, there is bishop d6, enemy young. Totally there is. It just leads to a very sharp game. I'm sacrificing 1 or 2 pawns for a very strong initiative. Yeah, but white can play. I think white actually should play bishop d6. That is very principled approach. Otherwise, white is just worse. And let's say something like h4, again, a very common motive. I mean, again, I can play h6, bishop f4, and what was the line here? I think it was something like a short castle. e3, c5. Now I don't remember, maybe d5, b5, yeah, it's... So here black can actually take over very quickly. And for white, it's not easy to organize a game at the kingside. So actually, short castle is rather a bold move, because h5 at any given time, I'm gonna just play g5 and close the action. And it's so difficult for white to open things with causing some damage for black. But okay, I mean this c4, knight c3, and bishop g5 and queen c2, it's a very aggressive approach. Maybe a6 was better. I was just playing with the ideas, right? Queen c2, g6. There was some major theory here. I don't remember it already. Tell you honestly. I mean, e4 wasn't the only. I'm pretty sure e4 was not played at the top level. And when I was preparing against this game against Mindaugas, I just prepared this. I mean, because I had noticed that my opponent loves to push the pawns in the center. And I mean, obviously, this is why I had to prepare this. But like I said, I already don't remember most of it. h3, g4, yeah, maybe. I mean, why not? Something like this, right? h3, bishop g7, g4. Looks fun. Yeah, totally looks fun. So I could try something like c5 to make it more fun. c5, and whatever you are gonna do here, I have no clue. So d5, and I don't know, maybe knight e5. I mean, I don't have to accept this pawn. So g takes, bishop takes, e4, bishop d7, f4, knight f7. I mean, this is weird. This is all weird. The whole Dutch defense is weird. And that's why it's such a great weapon, because it has nothing to do with the common normal looking lines. Okay, so let's go back to some of the main stuff. And let's look at the main lines. After d4, f5, typically white plays g3. g3 has been acknowledged as the most universal move, as far as I know. Pretty much everyone who has met the Dutch defense at a competitive level, he'll probably agree with me that all of the systems, yeah, they start with the move g3. So g3, knight f6, bishop g2. Now, what's tricky about this position? I mean, there's so many tricks. I can try to play g6 right away, still insisting to play bishop g7 short castle with intention to play d6 in e5. So here white, he can try to be funny. He can try to play knight h3. So knight h3 is on the stone wall. I see. So Magnus made the video series on the stone wall, but I've played some Stonewall when I was starting to play Dutch defense. It was many years ago. Long castle castling in Dutch? Not really. There must be some exceptions, but in most occasions black is castling short. Maybe in some occasions. Yeah, some exceptions perhaps, but typically black is castling short, or sometimes the king, some basics. Yeah, maybe. But not in the Leningrad system. And I mean, the king has nothing to do in the queen side. So here the idea of a knight h3 is to play knight f4 and h4, h5. So this would be rather annoying if you don't know what to do against it. And like I mentioned it before, I met it also in my own games. So for example, let's see the idea. So for example, I'm playing bishop g7, knight f4, short castle, h4. So that's the idea. So while I'm trying to push d6, white is playing, I mean, my idea is to push e5. White is playing d5, and the next incoming move is h5. So that is the big idea. So what to do here? So for example, c6, h5, g5, and h6. So maybe this is actually not so bad, but it's rather risky. Bishop h8, whatever is this? Takes. Now, can you explain me, how can you not love the Dutch defense when you're seeing all of this weirdness? I would show you this position. I mean, how can you get this position? This is really weird. Yeah, maybe queen e8, queen g6, something. The pawn on g5 is under attack. So to make it even more weird, so we can actually push it on g4. Yeah, so it's totally crazy. Yeah, okay, so this is actually something which we should normally avoid. So as soon as a white is playing knight h3, so the best system against this is not to rush with bishop g7, but is to play knight c6. So this is the only exception. We are not going to play d6, c6, the traditional approach, but knight c6. And the idea is to meet knight f4 with immediate e5. D6. I'm not so sure about immediate d6. For example, knight h3, d6, white can still play d5. With the idea to play knight f4, h4, h5. If you are going to play c6, white is playing c4. By the way, it's still playable, I think. And e5. Takes and bishop e6. Yeah, this is also playable. No, it doesn't transpose. It's just a different idea. I mean, d6 is also possible. Yeah, specifically here. I mean, after what was it? Knight h3, d6. I still need to check this though. Here, can we actually push e5? I'm not so sure. e5, I don't remember this. Take. Knight d3, I've seen this somewhere. That should be okay. Yeah, this feels okay. Because we are having a healthy pawn structure. The king always can find the shelter somewhere here, so that's not going to be a problem. Yeah, we can push this actually. But yeah, and after d5, c6, I think it was something like knight c3. Knight c3, e5 takes. Yeah, this is also good. This is a good line. I like it. But what I wanted to recommend, yeah, so d6 still works if you are pushing early e5, but I wanted to recommend knight c6. So after knight c6, knight f4, e5 takes, knight e5, we no longer need to be afraid of h4, h5, because the knight is protecting the pawn on g6. So we can just play something like c6, queen e7, bishop g7, d5, bishop d6. Maybe here actually we can make a long castle. Maybe. Just maybe. So h4, h5 actually wastes quite a lot of time for white, and not really gaining anything. And if white is not pushing h4, h5, the question is, what is the knight doing on f4? Not much, right? Yeah, so maybe white could try to play something like d5, knight e5, and like this. But now we can try to play c6 to destroy the center. And the classical idea is to position the knight on f7 and push e5. Actually, I had one game like this. I'm gonna show you. Let me copy paste it. I'm gonna find it first. Which was it? Yeah, this was quite fun. I don't think it's in the database actually. Because I played it in the Swedish league. And they don't I have a YouTube channel. Yeah, that's my YouTube channel. You can subscribe to it. I'd really appreciate. I'm gonna develop it. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. All of my streams, they're available here on Twitch, on videos on demand. They're free, completely for free. You can just check them, and they're there. And so that in order I don't lose them, I upload everything. You're welcome. I upload everything to YouTube as well. I mean, I export the video so that they stay there forever. Yes, I would really appreciate you to also follow my YouTube channel. You can check it. This is the 9th bootcamp. Yeah, thank you. Every single bootcamp I'm trying to cover something interesting, and I'm very happy to hear that you appreciate it. Okay, so here the game was after d4, 5, here. So we are playing the Leningrad system. And knight h3, which I said is, yeah, I'm an official FIDE trainer. That's right. I've been working as head chess coach in Riga Chess School for 10 years. So after knight h3, bishop g7. Okay, I played here bishop g7. I don't think it really matters. But the point is, I'm playing knight c6 the next move. Castle. My opponent discarded this idea to play h4, h5 just because of this idea that I'm going to push in the center. And here was this great idea, c6, c4, and knight f7. And I'm playing the next move e5. And after e4, e5, suddenly black is just bare. So let's say d takes. This is a useless move. This is not so well positioned knight. While let's say after takes, all of my pieces are positioned really, really nicely. And in the game progressed something like this: e4, e5, knight d3, c takes, e4. So it was quite a great game. Yeah. Let me check what else do I have here. I have a number of games in the knight c3 line. I think I had one more somewhere. Let me check it. No, I don't have it. I mean, I have it, but I have not prepared it. It should be available. Yeah, it's a great system. Okay, so let's go finally to the main stuff. So the main stuff, the main opening, the main lines of the Leningrad Dutch is knight f6 here, knight f3 here, here. This is this is the classic. I mean, probably every single grandmaster who has played some Dutch defense, he has met this line. You think so? You would smash the structure? I'm not so sure. It's easier said than done. Essentially, what we are looking at here, this is some kind of what is it? King's Indian. Instead of the King's Indian, our pawn of f7, it has advanced to f5. So we are taking control of the e4 square, which is, by the way, quite an important motive. Yeah, and we want to play d6, queen e8, c6, and e5. That is our classical idea. The second idea is here that we want to play for the checkmate. For example, I could play d6, c6, h6, g5, queen e8, queen h5, and just try to checkmate the guy. I mean, why not? Camel Rider, I mean, again, I told you about this. You're not playing the Dutch defense to equalize. You're playing Dutch defense to take over. So if I wanted to equalize, I would just play something super solid. I would play the Queen's Gambit Decline, for example. I would play Queen's Indian, which is actually my main theory. I mean, my main opening after d4. I'm playing the Dutch defense to have some fun, to take over. So essentially, if I will manage to equalize, of course, that's nice, but that's not the goal. The goal is to get a very dynamic and interesting position. Yeah, so for example, let me show you this one typical attacking idea at the king side. I'll just copy paste the game of mine. Here we go. So this was the game I was playing against Renier Castellanos. What was his full name? Rodriguez Renier Castellanos. Yeah, he's a nice guy from Spain, international master, about 2,500, also a chess coach, I think. And we played this game in a rapid tournament. So he played it typical way. c4, knight c3, c6, queen b3. Yeah, queen b3 is very big theory. Yeah, super deep. The favorite gambit, I don't know. Depends if the gambit is giving results. I mean, Jerome gambit, no. Jerome gambit, no. I don't know. It's fun, of course. I would love to play some Jerome gambit for fun. I mean, for some blitz games, but nah. I mean, you probably refer, wasn't it from Chessbra stream, right? I think they discovered this Jerome gambit. They were having fun. I think so, at least. I haven't really paid attention to this so much. I think I heard they were having fun with the Jerome gambit. Yeah, so queen b3 is quite a big theory. The point is, black is trying to somehow push e7, e5, so white is getting ready for this. He wants perhaps to push d5, knight d4, and also hinder my development at the queen side, because this pawn on b7 is sort of under attack. King h8, so this is why I remove the king from this possible discovered check. Queen, rook d1, queen e8, d5. Yeah, so like I said, yeah, from the chess browse. Yeah, thank you for the hydrate. Thank you for the joining my club, appreciate it. So here after d5, knight a6, this is a nice outpost. Here, and here I had this funny idea. I mean, why can't I just play for the checkmate? Especially because the bishop is so weird positioned on e3, but this is the top choice of an engine to position the bishop on e3. Bishop e3, rook c1, and maybe at the right time take d takes on c6. King h8, I like it. Maybe it's not necessary, I don't know. Maybe it's not necessary, but here the question is, if I'm gonna play, let's say, knight a6 right away, he could play something like c5. c5, king h8, and maybe it's not much. Yeah, maybe it's not really a big deal. But I feel like king h8 is a useful move. Now, bishop e3 is an engine move. Engines really love this move, especially in the Dutch defense. I totally tell you this. So let me check. Okay, so king h8, here, queen e8, here, knight a6, here, and close the action. So the plan is very simple. h6, g5, queen h5, checkmate. And essentially, I mean, white needs to do something as well. He's not gonna just sit and watch. And I've played against people who are so concerned about the kingside attack, they're gonna play h4 himself. Just try to stop this g5 from happening, and this only makes more targets. So for example, so queen c2, h6. So for example, h4 actually would run into some ideas of knight h5 and f4. Looks really dangerous for white. Maybe queen d2 actually is necessary to stop f4 from happening. So what happened in the game? He allowed me to play g5, queen h5. I'm just developing the pieces, preparing for my attack. And the point is, I'm closing all of the action at the queen side. b4, b6, I'm not interested to open the queen side. Queen c2, e6. Either way, the game got very sharp. I was trying to attack. And ultimately, I lost the game. I mean, yeah, we were playing rapid game. I had some ideas to play knight a6, knight g5, knight h3 something, but clearly I misplayed the attack because we were playing a rapid tournament. I mean, but it doesn't change my belief into this line. This is a funny line, right? I have a number of ways how I can improve this, improve the attack. And especially when you're playing some accelerated time control, you're playing a blitz or a rapid, it's a really great idea to choose an opening where you're attacking, because it takes away all of the attention for your opponent. You're attacking, you're creating threats against your opponent's king. It really takes so much attention from your opponent, and not everyone can remain calm and just say, I mean, there's nothing there, right? Yeah, okay, thank you, Pogs Games, appreciate it, thank you. Right, so anyway, so this is also the idea. I think I actually tried it for the first time, but if you would check some of Nakamura's game, for example, he has tried this idea a number of times to play c5, close all of the action at the queen side, and then just h6, g5, queen h5. Yeah, maybe here, maybe I could have played it better. I think here, around here, e3, what I played here, yeah, knight e4, maybe that wasn't necessary. I mean, I could have played knight c7, b6, rook d8, prepare e5, d takes, knight e6, g4, knight g5. I mean, you name it. There's so many ideas how we can improve our game here. You mean push e4? Yeah, maybe you can push e4, but this opens the f file. Takes, 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 and bishop g4, goodbye. I mean, okay, here, of course, White played e4 in the wrong moment, right? I mean, he could try to do something, he could try to do this in a different moment. For example, after queen h5, maybe rook e1. Okay, maybe rook e1, clearly intending to play e4. Yeah, so I could actually play f4, I think. f4, sacrifice the pawn. Ah, that drops a piece. Yeah, that drops a piece after g4. That's funny. It doesn't, it's not even a sacrifice. So let's say, I don't know, it's very difficult to suggest here anything. Rook, maybe queen d3 something. Yeah, queen d3, bishop d7. He still cannot take g4, f3 at some time is threatening, and I mean, black is attacking. What is white doing? What is white doing here? b4, b6, I close the action. You ask the advice for the engine. The engine is gonna say, no, it's completely fine. It's great, great line. Again, I mean, it's not so easy. You cannot use the engine obviously in the game, right? So engine says something else. In the opening, it says it's a great line. In the practical game, it's something else. Okay, I'll show you a couple of more games, a couple of important ideas. For example, this line from one of the main lines of the Dutch defense, Leningrad system. I played this game, story time. I played this game several years ago in, whichever tournament was it? Oh, it's not several years ago, 6 years ago. Pfalz Open. There's a very nice tournament in Germany. I was playing against Alexander Hilberda. He's, I don't know, FIDE master maybe 200-300 rated. And I felt, okay, I mean, Dutch defense is a great weapon, especially in the early rounds when I'm supposed to win. I'm the GM, I'm supposed to win. So why not? Why not play Dutch defense? So this is the game. I'm playing the Leningrad system. c4, knight c3, c6, rook b1. Yeah, rook b1 is one of the modern moves. You might have actually seen some top-level games between Vladimir Kramnik against Hikaru Nakamura. Pretty sure they started like this. So I think Hikaru was playing with black. I don't remember year. One of the super tournaments. And I think they played knight e4, queen c2, knight c3, beat x on c3. That was the game. Maybe it was even around the time of 2014, 13, 14, I don't remember. So after knight e4, white has to do something. So he cannot really take on e4, right? Knight e4, we are just gonna take here. And knight g5 is d5. We should be happy about this position. Takes, takes, knight c6, bishop f5. I mean, black is just enjoying quite a good position. And essentially we can imprison this knight with h6, g5, and h3. So white don't take this knight on e4. But what I like about this, you think? No, I think it was rook b1. Yeah, I think it was rook b1. But what I like about this knight on e4, I've came to realize in many systems of many setups of the Dutch Leningrad system, the knight on f6, you have to get rid of it because it's messing with your plans to push e7, e5. So if you would remove the knight from f6 with the knight on c3, we can already play e7, e5, so we just get a strong center. So this is one of the reasons why in some occasions, not always, in some occasions you can actually play knight e4, trade the knights and then prepare e5. I've used this so many times. Pretty much every single time it works. Sometimes it doesn't, but I'm not going to mention those occasions. So after knight e4, queen c2, knight c3, in the game, yeah, I did not prepare this. If they don't trade knights, yeah, then you are having some problems to push e5. For example, I think it was something like this: queen e8, b4, e5. Wasn't it like this? I mean, I don't remember. Wait. Queen e8, d5. Or was it after queen e8? Or maybe white did play d5. I don't remember. I mean, I'm not keeping any secrets. I just don't remember. I mean, there might have been some games when it didn't really work. It's not like I'm hiding some important information. Right. But the point is here to play e5 at the right time. So maybe that was the point. Takes, takes, and this pawn is sort of feeling unhealthy. Maybe it was something like this. I mean, I don't remember. I just remembered that I had to play knight e4. I'm sorry. Yeah. And after queen e8, maybe it was like this: b4, e5, d takes, b5. No, it's not. It's e4. Yeah. And now e4. Maybe it was like this. I'll tell you honestly. You think it was queen c2? You think so? No, I don't think it was queen c2. Because after queen e8, queen c2. I can play e5 right away. And then rook b1 makes zero sense. Why did white actually play rook b1? He played rook b1 to push b4, b5, to advance forward, to take some space advantage. I said something like this: takes, takes, e4, and maybe it was like this. Yeah, but then again, rook b1 looks weird. Maybe. Yeah, knight a6 maybe something. He cannot really take. I'm gonna take with the bishop. Maybe something like this: b4, knight c7, something. Whatever. I don't remember. I cannot remember everything. It can be forgiven. Yeah, I'm too lazy. But I mean, there's so many games. Whoa, that's a long question there, Sleepy Mario. Bishop c1. I'll check it. Please remind me this question. I'll check it. I think it's for tricksters. Very quick answer for you, but I think it's for tricksters, yeah. I think you answered yourself. Kramnik won. It doesn't mean the line is unplayable. Again, don't really check the end result of the game, because sometimes the end result of the game can give you a wrong impression. The line is either just bad or it's just not working. I mean, it's not always like that. Yeah, Kramnik won. I think he won. So here what happened in the game? I played knight e4, queen c2, takes. So yeah, b takes on c3 was more challenging. But again, I mean, it's not easy. I mean, white is just doubling the b pawn, I mean the c pawns for what? So it is still some kind of a committal decision. And if I'm going to play e5, for example, right away, e5, d takes, aren't these pawns going to get weak? Okay, I mean, maybe for Kramnik, it's obvious. But let's say we are talking about a club level player. Is this obvious for you? Is this obvious for, let's say, a 2100 level player? It's not obvious, right? I mean, maybe Kramnik knows what he's doing, but in an actual game, try to properly play this out. I'm going to play something like rook e8, queen c7, queen f7, h6, bishop e6. This pawn is weak on c4. Well, I don't know. I'll tell you honestly, it's not that obvious. So for my opponent, he was rated 2-300. It also wasn't obvious, which is exactly the point. So he took with the queen, queen c3, and still intending to play b4, a4, b5, and whatnot. But now I have access to e5. This is when some funny lines start. Okay. So after e5, most likely white has to take, takes. But here, if he takes on e5, I'm just winning back the pawn. I think it was queen c7, I think so. Queen c7, e4. Okay, e4 maybe it wasn't necessary, but the point was to push, I think it was f4. I think so. Maybe I'm mistaken already. It's been some time and I've analyzed this. I think that was the whole idea. To play against this bad bishop, supposedly bad bishop, but okay, maybe already mistaken. Right. So white is not going to take on e5. He has to push e4. And I'll tell you honestly, I've beaten this line, white, so many times. Every single time white is pushing e4, I just go past. f4. Perhaps not exactly the same position, but the idea is always the same. White still cannot take on e5 because of quite a nice intermezzo move, f3. And after that, I'm playing knight e7 and collecting this knight. So he cannot take. And typically the positional idea here for black is we want to play bishop g4, we want to trade this knight, and we want to position our knight on d4. Look at this square on d4. And we are basing our entire game against this bad bishop, the bad light square bishop on g2. And that's it. It's that simple. You bet. I mean, I've played in so many important over-the-board games. The Dutch defense, if I need to win, I play the Dutch. It doesn't matter who I'm playing against. Yeah, I've played in a number of last round tournaments. In the tournaments in the last rounds. Let's say I'm in the dire need to win, and perhaps so is my opponent. We are perfectly happy to go for a fight. I just go for the Dutch defense, whatever. White is happy that his opponent is picking a fight, and I'm happy that my opponent doesn't mind the fight. And I won quite a lot of last round games in the Dutch defense. Yeah, so the point here after g takes, e takes, now we follow our plan. The only difference, I mean, g takes was a positional mistake. The only difference is we no longer need this square, but we get the square on e5. And my opponent collapsed very quickly. I just tried to checkmate. Knight e5, and look at the difference between this knight and that bishop. And the game ended very quickly. With the checkmate, yeah. Or maybe he just resigned, I just don't remember already. Yeah, I think he just resigned here. So the entire system is still quite playable. But of course, I mean, speaking about a particular system here, after rook b1, knight e4, queen c2, knight c3, of course, white has to take with the b pawn. But again, it comes with a very big decision, because white has to be ready to play this position and play with these pawns. Bishop a3, maybe like this. Here, rook d1, what is it? Queen f6, rook d6, queen here. Okay, maybe already losing the black. Yeah, maybe I already misplayed this, but wanted to say that making this decision for white cannot be so easy, not for everyone. Right, so this was quite a nice game. Let me try to find another which illustrates the core ideas. Yeah, so here's another game. This I played at the GM level. My opponent was a Grandmaster. You know, actually there was a funny story time. I was playing some years ago against Estonian Grandmaster Meelis Kanep. I played against him the Dutch defense, I think. And after that I said, I'm never, ever gonna play the Dutch defense at the GM level. Meaning, I'm not gonna play the Dutch defense, and so does black, in the Leningrad, not only white. Yeah, I said I'm not gonna play Dutch defense at the GM level since we finished our game. He said, okay. And some years passed, maybe 1 or 2 years. I was paired to play against him in some Finnish league, maybe, I don't remember. And I played the Dutch defense. He was like, what is this? And we played it out. I got a very good position, and we played a draw. After the game, he sort of attacked me. He said, I mean, why did you play the Dutch defense? I mean, you told me back then you're never ever gonna play Dutch defense at the GM level. I'm a GM myself, since obviously you know this. And I had to say, I mean, I found some new ideas. So, I mean, what can I say? I mean, even at the GM level, of course, this is playable. So I just found some new ideas and wanted to test them. Okay, so this game was played against Otmar Ladva, one of the leading Estonian Grandmasters. Yeah, so after knight f3, f5 is also playable. So essentially we got the same position. b3, yeah, it's perhaps slightly slow. Again, we get rid of this knight. Trade it. Position the knight on d7 and push e5. That's it. So easy to trick white. Takes. Yeah, and again, if white would play e4, we are going past f4. I think so, please. Unless I'm mistaken. Maybe here, specifically here, there's some queen d6, I don't know. Yeah, so I would need to double check this. But that's at least the common idea, to play after e4, to play f4, exchange the bishop for the knight, and fight for the knight off the d4 square. Since white is not doing this, this means I can push the pawn forward, excluding this bishop from the game. And black has managed to achieve a really great position after the opening. Yeah, so I'm not going to show the rest of the game. It was, yeah, I won the game, but it doesn't have anything to do with the line. So, I mean, I managed to get a very good position in the opening. Let me check what else do I have here. This is actually quite a funny game. I could show it to you. How unorthodox can be the Dutch Leningrad system. Yeah, so this game I played in previous Olympiad, World Chess Olympiad in Batumi. I played it badly. Yeah, because I didn't like anything. Yeah, so it was just not a good Olympiad, since especially after the 2016 Olympiad in Baku, which I believe was the best Olympiad ever. Yeah, in 2018 I was sort of what's the proper word? disappointed. Yeah, I was expecting to be at that level, so some things I did not like, but okay, I mean, overall it was a good Olympiad, just not for me. Yeah, so I played this game against who was it? How does it spell it? Doc X. Pretty sure it spells different. Doc X Stefan from Belgium. Yeah, I was playing against a Belgium FIDE master. Pretty sure it doesn't spell Doc X. DOS X something. I don't know how it spells, doesn't matter. So I decided, okay, he's 2400 level player. I think Dutch defense is still a good weapon. And I had not played it for some time. So okay, I thought, okay, it's time to play this. Bishop f4, yeah, it's quite tricky. I know this line is rather popular, and people who have studied Dutch defense to a great length, they probably will agree that bishop f4 can be a very powerful weapon, but it's very easy to misplay. And this is exactly what happened in the game. So after bishop f4, here, so black is trying to put extra pressure against e5 square, not to allow for black to play d6 e5, the traditional idea, but this also brings the bishop into jeopardy with some typical ideas of knight h5, and I could trade the bishop. So d6, knight c3, knight h5, not really threatening to take on f4, but actually thinking about ideas to push e5. Maybe I could actually prepare with knight c6 and play e5. Perhaps at some time I could actually take on f4, but that's not really the threat. So he played h4. That's actually quite an interesting move. I thought perhaps h3 was more quiet move. For example, h3 to free this square for the bishop, but then probably I would take, and try to somehow make... I was thinking about c5. c5, d takes, and queen a5, but maybe it just doesn't work. Takes, and knight d2. Yeah, the engine is not impressed. But I mean, sometimes an idea like this to play c5, queen a5, to pressure the knight on c3 just might work. Yeah, so I mean, maybe I don't have to do this really. But why my opponent played h4? The point of h4, if I'm about to take on f4, he's actually threatened to play h5 the next move. So it's rather deep. So obviously I did not take. Knight c6. Sort of thinking about e5. Not really yet, because that would force a queen threat and my king has to walk. And now after castle, I'm already threatening to play e5. And look at this. This is a common maneuver. Black is ready to waste some tempos with the knight, reposition it to b4, a6, and c5, and essentially this bishop on f4, it sort of feels misplaced. It would have felt better here. Something like b3 and bishop b2. And my bishop has really great control of the long diagonal. So the game progressed something like here, here, very dynamic, very interesting position. Yeah, and finally at some moment I decided it's time to make a strike in the center, and I just got the normal looking position. Left with a strong bishop, and I can organize the passed pawn in the center. So I managed to take over the game, and I won it in a really nice fashion. Guys, are you still there? I mean, everybody suddenly went quiet, or everybody is just enjoying the subtleties of the Dutch defense, or you just fell asleep. Are you still there? Or at least somebody is there. I super focused like this, like this. I see, super focused. That's good. That's good. Okay. Let me try to find one more interesting idea. I'm checking what I might have forgotten. Yeah, I think it's rather important. Yeah, I'll cover also this line, which is d1, one of the lines of all lines, main lines. Yeah, the main line of the, that's good that you're still here. Yeah, so knight h3. By the way, but this is knight h3. No, I should try to find something else. Okay, so I'm not going to show a game. I'm going to show from memory this line. So bishop g2, yeah, g6, knight f3 here, here, here. And of course, this line is an absolute classic. Yeah, this move d5. Hydrate is not out of stock because I've set a limitation. Otherwise, if I'm going to hydrate so many times, I'm going to have to make a break. I set it for a reason. Pretty sure it's a limit 5 times per stream. Otherwise, I'm going to hydrate too much. Yeah, so d5 is a classic. White is intending to play knight d4. This is the so-called old move. So-called old move. So black gets a reasonable game after e5. D takes, bishop e6. And bishop f4 is something you shouldn't be concerned, because black just gets an excellent position with very strong bishops. I've won a number of games in this line. So after bishop e6, typically it's something like this. It's b3, and I would like to, I would like to slightly talk about this position, at least for a couple of minutes. Some years ago, I played this really quite a lot of times, and inevitably, white is trying to target this pawn on d6, but we are easily defending this. So queen e7, let's say bishop b2, knight a6. So our idea is to position knight on c5, rook on d8, and prepare an attack, h6, g5. Another idea is we position the knight on c5, rook on d8, we position the queen on c7, queen on b6, and use the typical King's Indian idea to play a5, queen b4, a5, f4, and try to get to this square on b4. One thing I think you need to watch out, as soon as you're positioning knight a6, knight e4, yeah, so we want to keep this bishop alive, by the way, not allow the trade. Bishop f7, whatever. Let's make some random moves. Be careful not to miss this common motive, bishop c6. I am not telling it's working right now, but this is a common idea, how white can try to win actually some material. Here, takes, and then presumably something is happening. But okay, here specifically because of this long diagonal, I don't think black should be concerned about. But I mean, maybe there might be some occasions when this bishop c6, knight c6 actually might work. So if white is eyeing for this, it probably would be a good idea to reposition the queen somewhere here. Queen somewhere here, typically the knights can jump to g4, e5. Like I said, I mean, sometimes this h6, g5 idea might work, but not always. And you have a number of ways how you can play this out. If you're playing for the equality, you can try to push d5. For example, you position the knight on e4. Too many arrows already. You position the knight on e4, trade it for c3, and just push d5. Yeah, and this is, of course, the classical idea. Now I have to check. I think I had some games here. Let me check it. Let me very quickly check the database. I thought I had prepared a game I wanted to show, but maybe I just forgot. Very quickly, give me a minute. Okay, maybe this game. Maybe this game. It's not going to be the best of all times, but you'll get the idea. I was playing against the international master Alexander Dokutchaev in the Finnish league. Yeah, so d5, e5, the old move, so to speak. b3, knight a6. Typically, any bishop f4 ideas are met by knight h5. And this knight is under attack, and we would be very happy to trade our knight for the bishop. Knight g5, yeah, what I wanted to mention here is we don't want to trade our bishop for the knight. Yeah, of course you can watch it later as well. It's going to be available in the archive as well. Yeah, I'm not going to hide anything. And after some time, I'm going to export it to my YouTube channel. It's also going to be available there. So if you missed something, if you did not see the beginning, I mean, you can just check it later. So it's no problem. But I think it's so much fun, actually, to do this during the live stream, right? Because you can ask the questions in the stream. If you don't understand something, if something is not clear, you can just ask it right away. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this is why we are keeping this bishop alive. And bishop c8 is a common idea to keep the bishop alive. Then we get rid of this knight on g5. We play bishop e6 back. So that's quite... it's not tough. I mean, how do you allow this? I think there's very, very few occasions when you can actually not avoid this. Can you mention me one of the occasions when you actually are forced to trade it? Rook e8. For YouTube, I can suggest to have a chat on your stream. Yeah. I mean include the chat in... I don't understand, Sleepy Mario. I mean include the chat in the window. Yeah, but I mean, do you see the window? It's already so small. Just join the live stream and you'll... Yeah, but then I have to make my video feed a lot smaller, right? I like how big it is. Now we have to make like a quarter of this. Right? Okay, maybe I'll think about this. Definitely there's a room for improvements, and I'll think about this. Yeah, but I would like to keep this light square bishop at all times. Otherwise you're missing a lot of dynamics. For example, if you play something like queen e7, it's going to be so difficult for you to organize any attack there. It's going to be so difficult for you to push d5 because you're missing the light square bishop. It's quite an important piece. Although computer probably will say you're fine. I mean, probably he'll say exactly that. And after knight c5, he can prepare the thematical a3, b4, b5. And you won't have the pressure on the pawn on c4 because you would have the bishop on f7. So this is why it's so important. That line is correct on the board. Yeah, I think so. It's correct. So this is why I would like to keep the bishop at all times, and I also recommend for you to do the same. A bishop a3 is not really a concern. Okay, here specifically it drops a piece. But I mean, typically, let's say here, bishop a3. Bishop a3, knight c5. You should be very happy about this position because you get very strong, powerful bishops, and you are going to play b5 at later point anyway. It is weird. It is weird. I mean, Dutch defense is weird. Like I said, normal rules don't apply for the Dutch defense. So this is why, for many opponents, I played, their eyes were like this. What is this? I mean, I just don't get it. So this is why I like it. Right. So the game was like this. I played the weird bishop c8. Then I forced the white knight to go away. Yeah, and here was this point. I was already sort of concerned about this bishop takes on c6. Knight a4. Flash of steel, where do you think? Where was any knight a4? You mean after, if white would... You mean here? But I don't think you can actually get to this pawn. It's easy to defend in a number of ways. And play knight a4 right away, that just drops a pawn here somewhere. No, I don't think at knight a4. The engine just approves that this is a playable line, so I know that for sure. I think this in general is quite a harmless line for black, and it contains quite a lot of dynamics. Anyway, so this was the game. Keeping the bishop, yeah, maybe that wasn't great. But bishop f7, like I said, I need to understand what is going on here. Takes, and knight b5. Yeah, I think it was like this. It's not obvious how to evaluate this position. And I just didn't feel like I'm up for this. And I mean, it is playable. So I probably have to sack another pawn and aim for some kingside attack. Yeah, maybe. So this is why I played in the game bishop d7. I'm still not giving up my light square bishop. There's a lot of maneuvering, provoking to play f3, fixing the knight's outpost on e4, but giving up the square on f4. Yeah, and somewhere around here my opponent offered a draw. But I mean, the position is quite unclear. I mean, I'm attacking on the king side, queen f7 maybe. Yeah, something like this maybe is possible. Although, I mean, probably white is better here. I'll show you one more final example. Let me try to find it. Where was this? Okay, here it is. Yeah, this game I wanted to show. I was playing this game against Ari Dale 5 years ago when I was visiting Australia. Ari Dale, I don't know how he's playing right now, at which level. Back then he was, I think, a FIDE master of 350 maybe, I don't remember. That was a GM norm tournament. So he was fighting for the win and I was just looking for a fight, whatever. So we played the Dutch defense, Leningrad system, slightly with a different order of the moves, doesn't matter. Same d5. Again, keeping the bishop alive, doesn't change anything. Okay, and he played knight h3 because he wanted to include the knight here on f4. And g5 actually would be a bad choice because of f4, g4, knight f2, and incoming e4. So this is something you need to be careful about. So okay, I mean, let him to play knight f4. Yeah, and I'm gonna play now g5 and bishop h5. Look at this. If white is gonna take on e4, I can take with the pawn. Still g5, bishop h5, bishop f3 is incoming. Quite annoying. And here finally my opponent felt that something is brewing there at the king side. So this is why he played f3. I mean, maybe he didn't have to. Yeah, maybe he could have played something rook c1. Yeah, but already it feels that indeed something is going to happen at the king side, although it's not really clear how. So he played f3, and that's a weakness. And d5, yeah. So actually I managed to trade my weakness on d6, and he is left with his own on e3. Okay, and I managed to win this game rather nicely. I'm not gonna show you everything until then. Right. Okay, one more final question. There was this question about the bishop g5. Somebody asked me, was it Sleepy Mario? I still remember this. g5, g6, h4, h6. What did you say, bishop c1? Was this the question? Yeah, but what is the point of bishop c1? I just don't get it. I mean, I still play the same. What is the purpose? Just knight f6. Yeah, so I mean, it makes more sense to reposition it somewhere on f4, right? because it's more active there. And d6, knight f3, knight f6, e3, blah blah blah, something like this, which is my game, my blitz game against Magnus. And yeah, but here specifically I see no gain, right? I mean, knight f6, I play the same, and still you're gonna need to develop your bishop somewhere. Unless, of course, you want to play b3, bishop b2 something. h5 out of knight f6. h5 is g5, I think. That's the common idea. I mean, I don't want to find out what is gonna happen here. Takes, takes, and e4. This is typically very, very dangerous. Very dangerous approach for black. Yeah, and computer Reddit says black is busted, pretty much. Bishop g7, queen h5, queen f5, boom, very strong attack. So we don't want to do this. So any moment while it's playing h5, you should be ready to play g5. Not to open the king set. And then bishop g7, d6, short castle. Proceed to play normally.